This week's podcast is brought to you by Greenwood Nursery. Spring has sprung, and it's time to bring those planters and gardens back to life. Greenwood Nursery has a variety of quality plants and vegetables to give your home just what you'd like. Don't want to do the planting? Complete colorful pots are the perfect addition to any porch. Don't forget Prom and Mother's Day are just around the corner. See Greenwood Nursery in Tracy or Marshall for all your gardening and floral needs. And don't miss their spring open house, April 27th through May 3rd.
Thank you for joining me for another edition of the Hot Seat. My name is Per. I will be your host for the next half hour or so. Today's guest, I'm not going to call him by his first name because we're being professional. I'm going to call him Mr. Novosad, Lucas for short, because he is a very accomplished teacher at Tracy Area Elementary School, and he's probably more used to Mr. Novosad. Does any kid ever call you Lucas?
Not really.
Not really?
When I student taught, they could say our first names. I've never been in a place where they call it the first name.
The reason I ask is 'cause I notice when I go to practices or something, it's always Cruzy or Kynes or Haberman. There's no Mr. anymore. There's no coach.
No,
it's all last name,
and that's kind of like a sport thing too. I've always find that the sports athletes will call you by their last name.
Yep. And if the coaches are cool with it, who am I to say? It's just so different than it was back in the 90s, 80s when I went to school. So let's get to know you a little bit, Mr. Novosad.
Yeah, no, I grew up in the Marshall area, went to college then at the U of M, did elementary education. That was 2008 when I graduated, and there wasn't a lot of jobs, which is kind of weird today. There's teacher shortage.
Mm-hmm.
When I went for job interviews back in 2008, back in the cities, suburb jobs, whatnot, I mean, there was 2-3 openings. I would see 100 people wait in line at a couple job fairs.
No kidding.
And I was like, as a college kid, it kind of scared you, try to make money and pay off student loans. So I ended up out in Rifle, Colorado, was the western slope of Colorado. I taught out there for 8 years, met my now wife, Jessica, and we wanted to start a family. Prices kind of raised out there, so we were like, well, let's move a little closer to Minnesota where my family is.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't want to live in the Marshall area. We're kind of like, well, let's kind of find a bigger place. We found Albert Lee, Minnesota. We really loved it there. I was the basketball coach there for 3 years, and I taught social studies, geography. And then after our second child was born, Joey, we said we got to be closer to family. So we ended up looking for jobs back here in the Marshall area. And my wife got a job right away. And I ended up really fortunate to end up actually getting the Tracy job because there wasn't much open. So that would have been 7 years ago. So yeah, I taught 8 years in Colorado, 3 years in Albert Lee, and then this is my 7th year here in Tracy.
Jessica is also a teacher at the elementary school. That's got to be a win-win, right? I mean, you get to see her, and maybe she doesn't want to see you all the time because she sees you at home, right? But the kids and everything, you got your kids there, or one of your kids there, right? Are they both?
Yeah, Mikey is a 3rd grader, Joey is a 1st grader, and our little guy, 5-year-old Reese, is at St. Mary's Preschool.
Okay.
So everybody's coming here, basically.
So how cool is it to be able to have your whole family literally is there at the school?
No, that was one of the reasons why we wanted, everybody was going here. Mikey and Joey were already going to school, so we're like, and Jess just wanted to be involved. Like she just wanted to be more connected to us. So it was like, let's just all do it since we're all going to the same place anyways. And it's helped out with our scheduling.
Yeah. And it's funny how things work out that way. I mean, I'm going to assume you guys love your positions here in Tracy. And when I did a story on Jessica, I teased her a little bit about, okay, when are you moving to Tracy? Is that on the horizon? Or I'm going to ask you the same thing.
We're trying. Like we're at the point now where we're trying to get our ducks in a row, our house-wise. And so just we're kind of waiting for the right opportunity for us financially. And and everything's, it all changes all the time. So we're okay for right now, but we're still looking.
And you live in Marshall.
Yeah, I've done that I've made the transit for 7 years now.
Well, I did that for 26 years when I worked at the Independent, and the drives kind of got old, especially in January and February. But it was also a nice time. I think Jessica and I talked about this too, with just after a long day, the cool down period before you got to be dad again when you get home. Is that? Do you share that sentiment?
Well, the hard part is now my first 3 years, I didn't have any kids in the car. And so it was great, for me, it was nice to kind of get the day done. And it was sometimes a struggle to get, got 30 minutes no matter what, if we had something going on in Marshall. Now it can be kind of tricky because if we're having a bad day, sometimes the kids are having a bad day or vice versa. and everybody kind of gets clumped and we're in that car for 30 minutes. But it is nice to just stop and we talk to the kids all the time about how their day is going, and we listen to podcasts and listen to books, and so the kids we have fun with it, but it can be challenging some days.
She was a little bit jealous that you got that windshield time with the kids, and she missed out on that back before she started teaching in Tracy. And she goes something to the effect of, he gets to listen to how their day was, and I don't get any of that. And by the time they get home, all I have to do is make supper and stuff like that. So, but you guys make it work for sure.
No, it's okay.
It's a different generation of teaching, I think. And I want to get into that a little bit. The challenges of teaching today, regulations, standards, testing. I know the high school, the older kids deal a lot with testing, not sure on your level, but Lucas, are there any challenges that you guys face that maybe my teachers didn't face back 30, 40 years ago?
Well, so testing begins, and I know Mr. Munson can definitely clarify a few things, but third grade, they start testing. It would be math and reading, and then that goes from fourth grade, fifth grade. Fifth grade is when they pick up the science. I teach social studies, so we don't have a social studies test
Right.
as of right now. But it's definitely changed. I think it's how teachers kind of look at it. It's a balancing effort for a lot of teachers of how much do you teach the test and how much do you put in your own creativity as a teacher as well. And so it can be definitely a challenge. Test scores don't mean, it's not the be all end all for everything.
Right.
And that's where it does get tricky, where you do want your kids to do well, but you also understand, okay, the engagement and sometimes going over test questions. And because I was a math teacher, I've taught math for I believe 4 or 5 years of my 18 years teaching. And so there is that balancing effort of trying to teach to what they need to know, but also engaging strategies where that they're into the lesson. You want them to be fired up about learning. And
Right.
so, thinking of challenges just today that teachers face, a lot of it is, the culture we live in and that instant gratification.
And it's there for adults too.
Oh man, that's the interesting part. But I look back, so this is my 18th year teaching. I can still, and you can probably remember, Per, old overheads where teachers were writing on it with those like the markers. And they get it all over their hand. I still
overhead projectors.
I'm old. Yeah, I'm old enough now where I use those as a teacher, and I still consider myself a tech guru where I stay up to date with things. But over the years, I do notice that keeping the kids engaged is more challenging. And so how I try to combat that a little bit is I just keep the lessons going. Like I never stop. Like we're doing this, we're watching this, and then they're building this, and then we're going on 10-minute segment there, and we're doing our basically kind of building your lessons into 5 to 15-minute segments where they're never getting a chance to kind of stop. We're moving on and moving to different concepts or whatever we're learning. But if you keep the kids going, they're never really going to have a chance to sit there and say, I'm bored.
Is that an attention span thing? The purpose of keeping things moving and keeping them into everything?
Well, and you think about, you go on YouTube and you just scroll, and I find myself doing that sometimes where you find something, you go down rabbit holes, and all of a sudden you're 15, 20 minutes later, you're like, what did I just do?
Yep.
And in all seriousness, sometimes you feel that way as a teacher where it's like, and I'll tell the kids a lot of times, they'll have their Chromebooks out in front of them, and I'll just say, basically, I know that's more entertaining than me. And so we're closing them. I'm giving you instructions. All right, you guys got 5 minutes. Go do your thing, whatever we're doing.
That's got to be a huge challenge. Technology is great, but there's a limit, and we didn't have that. I didn't have that when I was in grade school. I had nothing to distract me except for the open concept classrooms that maybe we can get into a little bit too. Let's talk about it now because I went to school where you teach.
Yep.
I remember being in that room studying history from Mr. Roots, and back then, you probably know this, you've been told this, there were no walls.
Yep.
Nothing. I could look down all the way to the other end of the building and see my buddy and wave to him. Talk about distractions, right? I could hear their lesson plan and what they're going over. And I can't imagine being a teacher in that environment when you have 3 or 4 classes and no barriers, literally.
Yeah.
And then they had half walls or 3/4 walls. Now they're all walled up. How would you find yourself in that open floor Luckily, you don't have to do it.
Well, we had the partial partitions, and I don't know how long they had those for.
Not very long, I don't think.
But it was still like it was challenging because I'm a very energetic person. I tell the kids that right away. I'm very positive. I'm very energetic, and like I'm enthusiastic about everything that we're doing. And so there was like my first year there. I always have music playing in my classroom and different things. And I remember teachers would come over, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, forgot. So sorry." But it was because for 12 years of my teaching, I had walls and I have music playing in my class, and the cue to talk in my classroom is the music. And then I turn it down,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's the cue for the kids to be like, cool, I can talk. Now Mr. Novosad or someone else is doing something. And so it's a great classroom management tool to do. But you could definitely hear what everybody was doing, but then especially on my end where like my activities are kind of music or getting involved and having kids talk to each other, it's going to be loud. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having kids discuss. You saw it today during the World Peace Game. We'll get into it where kids they're talking to each other. You want them actually doing stuff with your lesson and your content. And then you can come back, do your teaching, have them talk again about it, build something together, go create a solution to something. And so it's always kind of with those walls, it was always kind of tricky to kind of keep the noise level down because the kids get excited about it. I'm like, sorry guys, like just keep it down, you know. And now that we have them, it's awesome because I just like today close my door. I knew the lesson was going to be loud. Don't have to worry, about changing my teaching.
True or false? Some kids don't test well. Is
True.
that a myth? I don't like. Why is that? Is it the brain, the way the brain works, or they just don't respond well to testing?
I think anxiety. I mean,
Okay.
and that's where that tricky slope goes in because you could spend a lot of time as a teacher going over your stuff and really emphasizing to the kids, we need you to do well versus, for me, when I was a math teacher, everything we did in the classroom, I would say is preparing. Like the Super Bowl is coming up, but everything we're doing for that, we're doing right now. And so we would constantly just tell the kids, like, this is the same stuff you're going to see on the Super Bowl test. No big deal. If you can rock it now, you're going to rock it during then. And so, but it is true. Kids, I think, get themselves worked up if we're worked up as a teacher and we explain that to them. But it's good to have those conversations with the kids about those things because everybody kind of tests differently.
Yeah.
But I tell the kids too, I say, there's not going to be too many moments in your life when you don't have to show what you know. And so it's okay to get used to taking these tests and feeling a little bit of pressure because you're going to have to do that somehow, some way, whatever job that you have in life. And so just take advantage of it now. It's okay to feel nervous. Just do your best no matter what.
Let's talk about the robotics league a little bit. I can imagine you have just as much fun as the kids do when you're doing that. Well, okay. If you didn't see this, ladies and gentlemen, but he just kind of shrugged and I don't know, he was ready to disprove what I just said, but it's a different form of learning, right? And I know the kids have fun with it.
Yeah.
And you probably do too.
I do. No,
even though you're shrugging it a little bit, but what is that like for you just to get these kids' minds working in a totally different way than a book and a chalkboard?
Yeah, and sometimes I shrug because it is a lot of work. Like to get everything ready to go and get everybody on the same page, it's a lot of work. And so I don't think people really know the amount of time that goes in. Just teachers in general, how much time you put into. So sometimes it can be a little bit much. But the journey of all this has been incredible. And the opportunities, and I always come back to this, is I think in anything that I do in education, coaching, has always come down to opportunities. And I started this with Mr. Munson's help and a lot of people. My gosh, I can't imagine how, I can't even tell you how many people have lent me, or not lent, but donated money, have just said basically, how can we help any way possible? But all of it stems from just, I saw a need. The students, my first year in Tracy, Mr. Munson bought some robots, and we have a technology time at the end of the year. And I was like, okay, typewriting's great. Let's take a break from that. And I realized it was right before COVID, and we got them out. The kids loved them, and I started doing my own research, and just I noticed how much engaged the kids were in what we were doing, and it was like, okay, what else can we do with this? And that just became like a trickle down effect of, all right, we can build battle bots out of it, we can build chariots out of these little round robots, and then over the next few years, I had a teacher, Mrs. Zoig, who taught math there. She's like, have you heard about this Lego League? And I said no, but let's jump into it. And everything I kind of do, in education, I just jump
You
right
jump
into
in,
it.
yep.
And I'm like, no big deal. If it doesn't work out, I'm not out anything, you know. So we just started that, and it was just this incredible process of kids not only learning robotics, but it was researching and doing homework on a project and then presenting that in front.
Coding.
Yeah, just that, but also like this whole process of they have to talk to someone else. We go to Minneapolis sometimes, and they have to talk to judges about the process of learning their coding of the project that we did that year. And I was like, what better way to get kids ready for a job interview than do this right now? And so I remember just stopping after our first year and be like, this is unbelievable skills that the kids are going
Life
to have
skills.
later on.
Life
Yes.
skills for sure.
Yeah. So it's a challenge. Every year's a little bit different, but my goodness, how many kids have really just excelled in my class, or you see that interest and engagement spike up when it's like, okay, guys, we're doing battle bots this week, or we're building whatever, and they just go into a different mode.
Okay. Well, in that vein, we're going to talk a little bit about the innovativeness that you bring to your classroom. In particular, something called the World Peace Game. I met you at Garvin Park at the open house last summer, and we got to talk a little bit, and that piqued my interest big time because, frankly, I didn't know what the heck you were talking about. And this week I visited your classroom for some photos and to do a story for next week's paper on this World Peace Game. Let's dive into that right now because you're going to want to tune into this, ladies and gentlemen. About this is such a different way of teaching. This is not necessary. This is like a combination of there's history, there's math, there's working together as a team. You know, the teamwork aspect of it. What is the World Peace Game? You can dumb it down for us.
Yeah, so I encourage people to go online. There's a TED Talks on it. His name is John Hunter. So about 15 years ago, my principal in Colorado came up to me and said, "Hey, have you checked? I want you to check this out." And we looked into. I said, "That looks great. The World Peace Game looks great." And he said, "Well, let's go to New York and we'll learn from John, the actual person." So it's called the World Peace Game, and basically, when it's boiled down, it's the world's problems put onto a three-dimensional board. That's a 4x4 board with we have an ocean level, land level, sky level, and then space level. And there's hundreds and hundreds of army guys and factories and ships, and so all of the world's problems, a lot of the problems of our world is put on that board, and then the kids are put into either countries or not really put. They actually get to choose where they want to go, and they're in countries. And then we have 4 organizations, which are the United Nations, the World Bank, the arms dealers, which is a business, and legal counsel. And then from there, I give the instructions. It takes about a couple weeks to actually go through all those instructions and the manual and all that stuff. And then the kids try to negotiate their way through about 30 interlocking crises throughout the course of 7 days. And so that's it in a nutshell. You almost have to see the board for it to make sense.
100%. And yes. A picture's going to tell 1,000 words for my story because copy my copy. I don't care how good of a story I might write. It doesn't do it justice because I picture a teenager's playroom or a 10-year-old's playroom with all these little toys, army men, jet fighters. But this is not a game, is it? I mean, yeah, I called it a game, but what do you want the kids to get out of this?
Yeah, so the ultimate goal, so my principal, and it was myself and another teacher, Mr. Sneed, we went to New York City, and we met John, and he put on a week-long conference, and we watched, so it was all day long for 5 days, and we watched the game be played every morning for 4 hours. And then afterwards, after lunch, we met with John and about 20 other teachers all around the world, Australia. It was pretty incredible meeting some of these fellow colleagues. And we talk about the game with John, and then he would tell us about his philosophy. And then the next day, we'd do it all over again. So by the end, we watched him play the game successfully. And then we were able to ourselves learn how he put the game together, talk about the pieces of the game, the crises, everything you would need. And
so were these adults playing it when you
no,
went?
it was kids? Actually there were 4th and 5th graders.
Okay.
And so we watched it, and then we would discuss it after lunch. And so then John said, the reason we're doing this is we want the game to spread. We want more people to be able to experience it and more kids to experience it. And so me and Mr. Sneed we came back to Colorado and we were able to put the game back together. And the ultimate goal of the game, to come back to your question, is for the kids to interact with the problems that they're going to be ushered out to into the world. And I think there's no better teaching than to actually have to physically and mentally deal with a lot of these problems when the risk is low versus when they turn 18 and now they're going out. And I looked at it from the perspective, this is, a while ago, but probably mid 20s, late 20s. I was like, what better way to engage a kid? And you saw it today where it's like, you gotta be kidding me. This is incredible. So I kind of keep it hidden throughout the entire school year. And then about a week before, 2 weeks before, I start to put it together and clean it up.
You literally keep the
I
the
keep
boards
it all,
hidden.
I can't really, it's too much to take it all down because I can take it all down.
Yeah.
I met a few people who helped me kind of actually put it all together and then have transport it, because I'd be able to transport it if I ever moved or whatnot. But it's just, I kind of take it apart or put it together a week before, and the kids start to kind of peek in and look.
Sure, they're curious.
And that's like the spark right there. It's like they start asking questions. I'm like, well, just wait for another week, and I'll tell you more about it. Just wait. And so I kind of do the teaser, and then by the time the game starts, where I roll it out, they're
ready, aren't they?
Yeah. And it's a great way. We do it with the sixth graders. It's a great way to end the year because we're a couple weeks away from the end of the school year, so it keeps them engaged until the end. So just an incredible opportunity for the kids.
And you buy? Is it a kit?
So we could spend hours talking about how we did all this, but basically, when in Colorado, we bought my principal helped us buy a lot of the plexiglass, get it cut, and we just ordered stuff online and Amazon.
Okay.
When I left, I wasn't able to bring the game with me, and that was okay. But I also knew that this was such a great tool to help kids. I was like, okay. So I when I was in Albert Lee, I bought some plexiglass. I tried to do it myself. Couldn't do it. We moved to Tracy. That's when during COVID, I was like, what better time than to actually, we have nowhere to go. So I was able to actually contact people, and I put it together in my garage. And over the course of 10 years, I'd go to party stores and, anytime we're in a different Walmart, go to the toy aisle and just see if there was any new trucks or little planes. So
how many pieces are there?
If I actually did the counting, I would probably guess 3,000 to 4,000.
I was going to say 5,000, but
yeah.
I mean that's just
so it just over time you kind of accumulate it. I still do. If I find stuff, I'll just grab it.
You do?
Yep, I still do. I'll replace stuff if I need to. But
are you pleased? Monday was the first day of actually doing this with how the kids bought into this.
Yeah, gosh, I've told the kids several times. I've just said, like how they think. It's Mrs. Anderson came in my room the other day, and she watched it too, and she's like, "Man, the kids have like they're different roles. Like they sound different." I'm like, "Yeah, because they're taking on the role of a prime minister. They're taking on the role of a World Bank president." And so they have definitely, their thinking is, and it happens every year we play it, and it only happens if you put them in that situation. But this year's kids have, they've definitely bought into the roles, and they're taking it seriously. Not all kids will, and I understand that, but
but it's Mr. and Mrs. Or Miss. I thought that was so cool when how about you, Miss Sesma, or how about you, Mr. or whatever.
Yep,
that was pretty neat, and that's maybe another life skill they're learning without even knowing that they're learning it, is how to address people formally as sixth graders. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, and there's that respect factor, because if we want to solve a lot of these world problems, like we can't just say, "Here you go, I'll trade you some oil for whatever." No, it's like, no, did you get that signed by legal counsel? Did they review it? Did you get it signed by the United Nations? All right, do you have everything in writing? Did everyone sign it? Like, we need to have that in writing. And it just kind of gets them to understand that there's a lot of things in life that you have to pay attention to the details.
And you don't get this stuff out of a book. Or out of even off of a computer screen. You just don't, because they're literally doing it themselves. They're interacting with their peers. They're addressing their peers in pretty much a semi-formal way. And hopefully, God willing, they're learning something. They come home to their parents and they say, "Hey, I'm the prime minister of whatever." And
I think every year that we play it, it's kind of interesting to watch the kids then because we'll do about 2 weeks of instructions. It takes a long time for us to get through the rules of the game and then the crises. But during that kind of 2-week interval period, you'll see kids at recess time, like creating alliances and talking and being like, "Do you want to join me? Do you want and so there's that natural negotiation and life skill right there. So it's pretty incredible all the extra things that you just notice from when you play it.
So this is not the first year you've done it?
No, this would be the I played it for 1 year in Colorado. This would be the third year I've done it here in Tracy.
Okay.
So, and every year it's kind of different. When we had to kind of tear down the school and get stuff ready, I took it all down. So it just depends on the year. And yeah, a lot of factors, but
Yeah, it's so cool. And I left and I told April, the secretary there, that I don't know, everything was over my head. When I reading, writing, and arithmetic was what we did, and that's it. We didn't have toys. Not that they're toys in this context, but we didn't learn about treaties and whatnot. And
well, and you're learning in context. That's kind of the interesting part too. Is everything we think back to. You try to relate it. It's that old adage of when kids say, "Why are we learning this?" Well, like, if you don't actually put it in context, the kids aren't going to understand what they're learning. But if you put that negotiation or that treaty understanding what that means, and then they're going to look at the news. That's kind of the incredible part.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they can go home and there's a lot of stuff going on right now where it's like, well, think of the context we're learning it right now, kind of low stakes, but does that look similar to the board, and how are we trying to solve conflicts that are going on in the world today? So maybe they'll go home and look at the news a little bit differently.
Heck yeah. How do you grade them? Are they?
No, I don't. Like,
This is not grade up.
No, and we can lose the game. Like, and John told us I can't.
And everyone gets Fs.
Well, this is during our tech time. So it's kind of like that time where we can explore other things too, what we're doing, but there is no grade attached to it. It's just 30 minutes at the end of the day. We only play it for a month. But no, there is no grades. But there is a way to lose it, or it can be lost. And I tell the kids that's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen one time. I've never lost the game, or not me, because I can't play. It's the kids, and it's just like, that's going to happen in life. We're all going to lose stuff every now and then. So, like, if we don't reach a deadline or whatnot, we're going to learn more.
Another life lesson right there.
Yep.
Learn how to lose with grace and dignity, if that's possible for kiddos. All right, it's trivia time, my friend. I'm going to give you're the second person to do this. Gavin Medmore did it the first time, and we go on a point system, 5 points for each. I believe Gavin got a total of 10 points out of the 5 questions. He got 2 right, so he holds the standard right now. The categories are movies, music, geography, sports, and pop culture.
Ooh, I think I'm got to go sports.
See, I pegged you for geography.
And I could probably still do that, but I'm a sports
Oh, now you're
buff.
getting cocky. I see.
No, not really, but
All right, the first one I heard on K-Fan the other day. Shout out to K-Fan and my friend Heath at the radio station. The first Major League Baseball team to feature numbers on their uniforms.
I'll go the Boston Red Sox.
That is not correct.
Darn.
It was the Cleveland Indians in 1929.
Yep.
What NFL team was defeated by the New York Giants in the 2012 Super Bowl?
Say that again. Which team was?
The Giants what team beat the Giants in the 2012 Super Bowl? It was a while ago.
No, not Baltimore.
It was a very famous Super Bowl because it prevented the team from going undefeated.
Oh yeah, the New England Patriots.
See, now I just set a precedent. I got to give hints.
Sorry, I got to think back to the year.
That was the one that the dude caught
Tyrese.
Tyrese caught it on his helmet.
Yeah, I get all of those Patriots teams all mixed up.
Well, they went a few times.
Eli
for sure.
Manning, all those teams.
I'm gonna give you a softball here. What do you call it when a bowler makes 3 strikes in a row?
Strike.
3
Oh,
strikes.
turkey. Sorry, turkey.
There you go.
What am I thinking here?
You're getting ahead of
See,
yourself.
I get nervous.
You have tied Gavin so far with 2 left. Where will the 2028 Summer Olympics be held?
Los Angeles.
Ding, ding, ding. And finally, gosh, I gave you some easy ones, but that's okay.
I don't know.
How long is a marathon? I thought this one would be
Well,
an
it's
easy
like
one.
20. It's either 24 or 26.
You got to get it exact, and there is a decimal point.
I know there is 24.6 miles. I know that's not right.
You're close. 26.2 miles.
Yep, I knew. Yep.
Is the exact one. Mr. Novosad, you are off the hot seat. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Bear.
This week's podcast was brought to you by Greenwood Nursery. Spring has sprung, and it's time to bring those planters and gardens back to life. Greenwood Nursery has a variety of quality plants and vegetables to give your home just what you'd like. Don't want to do the planting? Complete, colorful pots are the perfect addition to any porch. Don't forget Prom and Mother's Day are just around the corner. See Greenwood Nursery in Tracy or Marshall for all your gardening and floral needs. And don't miss their spring open house, April 27th through May 3rd.